Okay, so I hope it's working. I do not have webcam today, so I will just introduce you the next assignment, particularly for section 1, because we did not have time to make it this morning. So give me one few seconds. So yeah, okay. So the next assignment will be about hybrid game, hybrid time/space. Actually, do not Google what mean hybrid game. It's not a concept that really exists. It's just a way that we decided to call that category last year, and the assignment evolved a bit since last year. The idea, so you see that on the PowerPoint, so I let you you will be able to read it. It will be on Discord in any case. But you will have to explore game that address the question of time or the question of space in a different way. Or it could be also a mix of both. By that, I mean, of course, I'm sure that many of you know some game with the cycle day and night. So like, I don't know, in the game something happened during the night, something happened during the day. Maybe on stealth game, for example, it's a feature that we could see really often. What I'm asking you there, it's not to make that in a game. That could be a way to explore that, but that will not be enough for this assignment. What I'm asking you, if you go in the direction of hybrid time, is, for example, to explore what will be the reaction from the game when you play it during the night or during the day. So let's imagine it's the same game, but depending on the time I connect, I play the game will be different. But I'm talking about my own time. So that's something that could be explored, but it could be also explored through the season through the different year, months, how the game evolve when you play in at different time of the year. So that's one aspect of the hybridation on the time aspect. So keep that in mind. It could be two things for on the time side. So the moment you connect to the game, the moment you decide to play to the game, and based on that moment, the game will be different. You will be able to do different things in the game. It could be also a game played. It will be most of the case will be a multiplayer. It will be a multiplayer game, but it could be a multiplayer game where the time session do not happen in the same time, but also are not the same duration. So you could imagine already, like in, I don't know, in your favorite MMO, one player, maybe you, that kills tons of monsters to be able to leveling as much as possible, and your friend that do not play that much but just join you time to time for making an important quest, for example. So two players do not play, they play together, they do not play with the same kind of play session. So that's a kind of hybridation. But me, what I'm asking you is to explore that in interesting way. So yeah, the introduction that I forget to give was I will switch on the next. Oh, okay, there are a problem in this slide. Maybe on all of them. No, just this one. So yeah, the introduction is now we enter in the assignment that will start to be a bit more difficult in the way that the previous one was more or less direct application of concept that we see in class, like direct application of lecture, particularly for the game concept one. But now it will require way more creativity, way more innovation, I will say. The thing is, what you will have to do now is thing that we never seen before. And asynchronous, hybrid game, it's exactly about that, because it's aspect of game that time to time some game explore that, but it's some territory that are not yet really well explored by video game. So you're able to innovate a lot. But you will have to innovate a lot. So anyway, the thing is, so yeah, I was talking about the play session, like in a MMO. So what I'm asking you there is not to copy that. It's to make it, to use the fact that people do not play in the same time, the fact that when we play at different time, the game could be different, the fact that some people could play longer than some other people. So I'm asking you to explore that in an interesting way. You must find a way that will change the game and make it something, make something new and yeah, interesting. I mean, fun and innovative. So basically, I think that a lot of you played Farmville when you was kid. So I'm not telling you that you like Farmville when you was kid. Maybe you liked it, but I'm sure that you played a bit, like few minutes, because it was free. And so, if you remember well, when you was playing that game, time to time you was seeing a friend, or I don't know, your mother, for example, that was coming to your farm and watering the plant, the tomato here. Actually, she was not doing that at the same time as you was seeing her doing it in the game. That's the asynchronous aspect. She did that at one time, and then when you connect to the game, you was seeing the avatar that was reproducing what your friend did a few, I don't know, hour, minute, or even like days, months ago. So that's one aspect of the asynchronicity. But if you remember well, certainly it happened to you. You decide to collect the tomatoes before clicking on the fact that your mother, your friend visit your farm. And so actually, if you did that, or we could imagine the tree, for example, you already cut the tree, and then you click on the you want to see what your friend did in your farm. And so you will see your friend that come and water the plant that do not exist anymore, or seeing your friend that, I don't know, collect the lemon on the tree, but the tree is not there anymore, and so on. So that was more a bug, but that was something that was already quite interesting. What happened if we are playing together the same game, but not in the same time, and not exactly with the same version of the game? It happened also in a MMO when you have like a bad ping for example, and you see like you continue to try to fight with a monster, but your friend that you have on the phone already killed the monster that you are supposed to kill together, but just because you have a poor internet connection on your screen, on your computer, the monster appear like if it was still there. So that's a problem in that's the fact that the game are played more or less in an asynchronous way. Again, I'm not asking you to reproduce that because that will not be interesting, but I'm asking you to explore and to find a way about time. So that could be about the asynchronicity. That will be interesting to develop an entire game based on such aspect. Actually, the asynchronous aspects are also a bit in a game like Journey, when you meet people that you always feel that, okay, when you play, you meet your friend that will help you to play the game, and you will make part of the journey with him or her. And finally, at the end of the game, you discover that it was not your friend, but it was multiple players that play and reach you for a certain period. So you see, people play together to the same game, but not in the same time, and so they do not meet. They do not always meet in this case. So that's also another way they have to explore the fact that people do not play in the same time, but still want to play together. What means the together here is also something that you will have to analyze. Okay, so about space, because it's time or and space, depend of you. So Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego is a old game. Let's say it's mystery case, murder case, kind of game, criminal case. I'm never sure of the correct term. But basically, you have to solve mystery and discover where people are, where like a serial killer is, and so on. But because you require a lot of knowledge in geography and in event that happen, like geography, but in an extensive way, like knowing a lot about the context of city, of country, thing like that. They was selling the game with an almanac. Because to be able to solve the case, you need a really deep knowledge of, as I said, geography and all this and that kind of stuff. So actually, the game was played on the computer. So I think it's it's Apple II. But when you were reading the book, it was still in a playful way. You was not reading the book for reading the book itself, but you was reading the book as a way to overcome the challenge that was in the game. And so reading the book was also a kind of mechanic in game. I cannot call that really a game mechanic. At least it's not really a playful mechanic, but it was a mechanic that you have in the game and that you require to be able to overpass the challenge in the game. So you see, hybrid space here, because you have the game on the digital space, so the computer game, but also part of the game was exploring the book to be able to perform in the game. But actually, not for your generation, certainly, maybe a bit, but for my generation, it was making the map of Zelda, for example, was a requirement. You was not able to finish a Zelda without drawing a map, particularly when it was in the forest and the forest is looping or thing like that. You need to draw a map in order to play that game. And when our parent was calling us, oh, you need to stop to play the game after 1 hour, it was a difficult time. Anyway, when they was calling us to stop to play the game, we were continuing to play it, but in a different way. Drawing the map was part of the fun of that game. And so just by memory, try to remember of the dungeon map that you have in Zelda and try to think of what could be the solution of the puzzle was mostly outside of the game. We was not playing just with the controller in hand. Our thought of the game outside of the game was also important part of the experience. And there are some games like this is a map for Zork that was just so it's I think you studied that in history and culture of game. It's a text adventure game, and so without drawing a map, at least a conceptual map, I will say it's really difficult, but it's for not saying it's impossible. So you really, the developer, when they was making this game, they was expecting that you will draw the map. But that was not a punishment. That was part of the fun. That was really interesting. The process of drawing something to be able to perform, to be able to play more efficiently to the game. That was really a part of the experience. So the game that create a link between physical and digital, but you know some of them. You know, for example, Keep Talking and Nobody Explode. I do not like to take this example too much because for me it's more a game that is split in half, and that's why the fun emerge from that. But the idea is the same. You have one player that play digitally and another player that play by reading the book and getting the good information and the communication between them. So it's also a game with exploration of two space, one physical and one digital. You could also think of a game that are separated or physically or digitally separated. By that I mean, or I could also say or multiple located. By that I'm talking about, for example, a game where you have to play at different place in the same time. You cannot play the game even if it was digital. Like, you could think of a system that you cannot play with someone that is less than 100 mile less than 100 mile than away from your location. And you have to solve problem. You have to, of course, you need to find again a way to use that in something that will be interesting. Like the example I give you, it's just not interesting. But so yeah, you could think of physical game that are played far away, but people must play together and must, I don't know, you must play a game with someone that play in another city, and there are some clues that are somewhere in the city. The player in the other city need to do something and share the information to the player in Troy, and so on. So it could be physical, two physical space separated, but it could be also two digital space separated, or two people separated physically, but that need to be separated physically, but more or less on the same digital space with some difference. All of this again, it's exploration, and you have to find something that will be interesting, innovative with that. So yeah, that's a project that I work on long time ago. So that was let's say 2 versus 2 player role-playing game battle without screen. So actually, if you can see, the 2 player on front of the screen play with a game controller, and the 2 player on the back are the display, I can say, are the screen. They play the avatar. So the 2 player on front play just like a normal battle in a RPG. They choose their weapon, they choose their attack, but more the attack than the weapon. They choose where to attack, and the player that play so actually it's difficult to see because they are glow, but the health and the mana is displayed on the strong light that we have on the torso, and the light that we have on the armor was representing, so there are different state of light because it was blinking more or less, are representing the duration of the armor, the fact that they will break soon, and so on. And so the 2 avatar, the 2 player that are up, was playing. They was receiving feedback when they receive it in the battle, of course. The armor was rumbling, and the goal was to focus on how can I say that? Was to was just to stay calm, to remain to stay calm, because we have some galvanic skin response system that was, and we was able to target if we was stressed or not. And so our goal was to cast magic spell, and for that we need to fill a gauge that you can see on the stick that we both have in our hand. So yeah, but long story short, the thing is, in this game, it's also hybrid space. Like the 2 player in front play on a game more or less classic, like if the player on the back was the screen, and the 2 player on the back play a game, but that is more internally controlled. Our game is to focus on our own body and try to control our own body. So you see, 2 player play on internal space, like body-based space. 2 player in front play on a digital game without screen. So two different space, but both are not really physical. So yeah, no, this is not that much important, but all the alternate reality game are most of the time hybrid of on the space aspect. So I will give you some example. I will put the link on the Discord. But yeah, all this kind of trend. So you are certainly too young to know this game because it was in the early 2000s. But there are a lot of games where you was playing with chat. So AOL, AOL. With you was receiving fax, you was sending email, you was receiving phone call, watching some video. So it's also one way to explore the hybrid space. Making a game that is played on multiple layers on the digital space or on the cyberspace. So a game that you will require to play a bit on Discord, but also on your social media. So I don't know, on Instagram or something like that. But also a game with some digital space, computer game aspect. So yeah, a combination of that. So in the folder, you have some games that are a bit like that. So I don't remember what kind of game what game I gave you, but I think at least I give you Cybele, Cybele. I don't know how to pronounce actually. That is a bit hybridation of space. It's a game that I let you explore, play that game, and I think that I also give you another game that you play just by folder. So it's a game that you have to use Windows folder and try to put file on different folder, and there's something that will happen based on that. So it's also exploration of, so in this case, it's just one digital space, but that's also a direction that you could explore. You have the classic computer game, but also maybe something outside of the game, something that maybe the player need to play with the code of the game, maybe with the file that are attached to the game. So that kind of thing. So again, I do not have the solution, or maybe I have 20 solutions. What interests me is what you will be able to create. And again, that must be something that is different. In any case, with this topic, there are almost no games that explore that much the time and that much the different space that we evolve in. So I'm sure that you will be able to create something different. So yeah, keep in mind, to wrap it up, space. So it could be physical, but multi-located space. It could be use of phone or book, website. It could be a classic digital game. It could be a game that requires some social network and people play together with some social network. And of course, it could be a combination of all this space. And it could be multiple times. So what happened when you play day and night? What happened if you play during different season? What happens if you play on specific day? Is the game still available when you want to play on Sunday? Maybe it's a game that you can play just on Sunday. I don't know. And is it what happens if someone play for a long session and someone else want to play just for short session? So what's the reason to not continue to play? What's the reason to continue to play? Both of them must be interesting. So yeah, that's kind of the thing that you need to explore on the space aspect, or on the time, or on a mix of both of them. And yeah, that's really it. So keep in mind that it's a build. So I'm expecting more. But actually, I'm just, it's simple. I'm expecting a game, and there are a lot of chance that you will have to make something digital. It's not, you could make something that will not be digital, but I think that in most of the case, this topic, you will require something digital, or I don't know, it could be a board game also, but yeah. So in any case, you have to be creative, and I know that you will be able to. But at the end of this assignment, I will need a game that is playable, and just I put the game on the table with someone that never played the game, and the player will be able to play it. Keep in mind that it's not a concept. I don't want something half broken for the presentation. I want a game that is completely done. And yet, basically, that's it. For Monday, I want you to have already think about the 3C, even if they are not, if you're still not entirely sure of how it will be, particularly if you make an alternate reality game. That will be complicated to define the camera, for example. So I will be open to everything, but just in general, I'm expecting the 3C, some sketches of how the screen will look like, something really a draft, but already an idea more or less clear, and of course the main game loop and maybe some secondary mechanics. So actually for Monday you need concept that will be not the finalized concept as something that we ask in the game concept assignment, but a concept that is already quite solid. And yeah, I will look at that, and then the other aspect is more or less the same thing that for the previous build. So that's pretty it. I will post 2 videos of game a bit that are more or less alternate reality game that will for which of you that do not know this kind of game will make you maybe see a bit more what I'm talking about when I say different digital space, and or mix between digital and physical. So yeah, that's really it, and so I wish you a good weekend, and see you Monday. Bye.